Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're hitting the links, for a deep dive into golf course management.
Oh, fun.
We've got some really incredible source material all about the mental strategies and how those can truly elevate your game.
It's fascinating how much of golf is really played between the ears.
Yeah,
We're going beyond just mechanics here
right.
and getting into the realm of strategic decision-making on the course.
I love it.
That can really make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's about understanding that every shot presents like a unique puzzle to solve.
it really is.
And that's where course management comes in. Our source lays out a 6-step process.
Okay.
And I'm really curious to kind of dig into how these steps translate into smarter choices and better results when we're actually out on the course.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay?
These steps are like a pre-shot checklist,
I like it.
helping you analyze the situation and create a game plan for each shot.
Okay, so step 1 is assessing your lie. This seems pretty straightforward.
Mm,
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just knowing whether you're, on the fairway or in the rough.
Yeah, you're right. It's about understanding how that lie is going to affect the ball flight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're in the rough and the ball is sitting down in some thick grass. You know it's going to come out lower and with less spin, so you might need to club up to compensate.
Okay.
But it's not just about the lie itself. It's about understanding what that lie means for your shot.
So it's almost like the lie gives you clues about how the ball wants to behave and you need to adjust your strategy accordingly.
Exactly. It's like reading the green, but for your entire shot.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, step 2 is identifying a precise target. I know we talk about this a lot in golf,
Yeah.
but what makes it so crucial in the context of course management?
I think about it this way. Aiming for the middle of the green is a good starting point, but a precise target
Yeah.
gives you a much clearer mental picture of where you want the ball to land.
Right.
This level of specificity is key for making those decisions about club selection and shot shape.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's the difference between just kind of aiming for a general area and having like a laser focus on a specific point.
Precisely. And that laser focus will naturally lead to a more deliberate and confident swing.
I like it. Makes sense. Step 3 is figuring out the distance to your target, which seems pretty obvious.
Right.
But I'm curious, what are some common mistakes that golfers make at this stage?
A lot of golfers get hung up on yardage alone. They think, okay, this is a 150-yard shot, so I'll grab my 7-iron. But as we'll see in the next few steps, distance is just one piece of the puzzle.
That makes sense. So step 4 is factoring in the wind. How do we account for this often unpredictable element?
Wind can be a real game changer, especially on those longer shots. A headwind will obviously require you to club up, while a tailwind might let you hit a shorter club. But it's not just about the strength of the wind, it's about the direction. A crosswind can really push your ball offline,
Yeah.
so you might need to aim slightly upwind to compensate.
I've definitely been guilty of underestimating the impact of wind in the past. It sounds like it's all about making those subtle adjustments to your aim and club selection based on, how the wind is behaving on that particular day.
Absolutely. And that's where experience and a deep understanding of your game come into play.
Right.
You start to develop a feel for how different wind conditions are going to affect your ball flight.
Okay. Now, steps 5 and 6 are where things get really interesting. This is where we bring in our individual skills into the equation. Step 5 is deciding what type of shot you're confident hitting. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Of course. Some golfers naturally hit a draw, while others prefer a fade. Some are comfortable hitting those high shots, while others excel at keeping the ball low. This step is all about playing to your strengths.
So if I'm facing a dogleg right with trees lining the left side of the fairway and I know I can hit a reliable fade, I'm going to favor that shot shape over trying to force a draw that might get me into trouble.
Exactly. It's about understanding your shot repertoire and choosing the shot that gives you the highest percentage of success in that specific situation.
Makes sense. So that leads us to step 6, which is deliberately selecting your club. I imagine this is where all those previous steps kind of come together to inform a truly strategic decision.
Yeah, you got it. It's not just about grabbing the club that you typically use for a certain distance.
Right.
It's about considering your target, your desired shot shape, and then choosing the club that best fits all of those factors.
It sounds like this process takes the guesswork out of club selection.
It really does. It's about making informed decisions based on a thorough assessment of the situation, rather than relying on gut feeling or what you did on that hole the last time you played.
So far, this all makes perfect sense, but I'm wondering how these steps translate into better performance on the course. Is it really just about making smarter club choices, or is there something deeper at play?
It's about making smarter choices, but it's also about something much more fundamental. Focus. When you go through these 6 steps of course management, you're not just deciding on a club.
Right.
You're engaging in a mental process
Uh-huh.
that sharpens your focus and brings you fully into the present moment.
So it's like a mental warm-up routine
It is.
that prepares you to execute the shot with intention and precision.
Exactly. And that heightened focus can be a game changer, especially when the pressure is on.
That makes sense. But course management isn't just about these 6 steps, right? Our source also emphasizes the importance of considering those subtle nuances that can impact your shot. Can you give me an example of what you mean?
Absolutely. Let's imagine you're playing a course after a recent rain shower. The fairways might look deceptively dry,
Okay.
but that underlying dampness can significantly reduce the roll of your ball.
So even if you hit a solid drive, it might not travel as far as you'd expect on a dry day.
Exactly. Ignoring this factor could lead to coming up short of the green when you thought you had the perfect club. It's about having that awareness of the course conditions and factoring those nuances into your decision-making.
I can see how that kind of attention to detail can really separate the good golfers from the great ones. It's about understanding that every shot is influenced by a unique set of circumstances.
Precisely. And it's not just about dampness. You also need to think about the characteristics of the green itself. Is it an elevated green? Those tend to be harder to hold. So you might need to adjust your club selection or trajectory accordingly.
It sounds like a true master. Of course, management is like a detective, constantly gathering clues from the environment and using those clues to formulate a winning strategy.
What a great analogy. It's about having a deep understanding not only of your game, but also of how the course itself can either help or hinder your progress.
We've talked about the strategic side of course management, but our source material also delves into the equally important mental game. There's a fascinating section on the concept of shifting from broad focus to narrow focus. Can you unpack that for me?
It's all about understanding how our attention shifts throughout the process of playing a shot. When you initially approach your shot, you're in broad focus mode.
So you're taking in the big picture, assessing your lie, the wind conditions, the overall layout of the hole.
Exactly. But as you start to prepare to hit the shot, your focus narrows down.
Okay.
Now your attention is laser focused on the feel of the club in your hands
Yeah.
and the image of the ball arcing through the air towards your target.
It's like that moment when a photographer shifts from a wide-angle lens to a telephoto lens, zooming in on the subject and eliminating distractions.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And after you hit the shot, your focus broadens again
Oh, yeah.
as you assess the outcome and begin to strategize for your next move.
This back and forth between broad and narrow focus seems crucial for staying present and avoiding those mental lapses that can derail a round.
It absolutely is. And there are specific techniques you can use to sharpen that mental focus,
Yeah.
particularly in the moments leading up to your shot.
I'm all ears. What kind of mental preparation can golfers do to get into that optimal state of focus and confidence?
One incredibly powerful technique is visualization. It's about closing your eyes and vividly picturing yourself hitting the perfect shot. See the ball flight, feel the impact, and experience that sense of satisfaction as the ball sails towards your target.
So it's like creating a mental highlight reel of your best shots, drawing on those positive memories to build confidence and program your body for success.
You got it. It's not just wishful thinking. It's about training your mind to see and feel the desired outcome,
Yeah.
which can have a profound impact on your physical performance.
I've heard a lot about the power of visualization in sports, but I've always struggled with making those mental images truly vivid and believable. Do you have any tips for making visualization more effective?
One key is to engage all of your senses. Don't just see the shot. Hear the sound of the club striking the ball. Feel the grip in your hands. Even smell the freshly cut grass. The more immersive the experience, the more impactful it will be.
That's a great point. I think I tend to focus too much on the visual aspect and forget to bring in those other sensory details.
And another tip is to practice visualization regularly, even when you're not on the course. The more you do it, the easier it will become to conjure those vivid images on demand.
It sounds like visualization is a skill that you can develop and refine over time, just like your swing mechanics.
Absolutely. And just like with your swing, consistency is key.
So we've talked about visualization. What about self-talk? What role does our inner dialogue play in the mental game of golf?
Self-talk is incredibly powerful, especially in those moments leading up to a shot.
Instead of getting caught up in negative thoughts like, don't hit it in the water, or I hope I don't shank this, shift your focus to positive affirmations.
So instead of telling myself what not to do, I should be telling myself what I want to do.
Precisely. Frame your self-talk in terms of positive intentions. Tell yourself, I'm going to hit this shot right down the fairway, or I'm going to make this putt.
I can see how that shift in mindset can make a huge difference in terms of confidence and focus.
It absolutely can. And here's a fascinating example from our source material that illustrates the power of confident self-talk. Tom Watson's legendary chip shot at the 1982 U.S. Open.
Ah, yes. The one at Pebble Beach, right? I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
Wasn't he tied with Jack Nicklaus at the time?
He was. Watson had a tricky chip shot on the 17th hole, and his caddy suggested he'd try to get it close. But Watson had a different mindset. He famously said, hell, I'm going to sink it. And you know what? He did.
Talk about a collect shot. And he went on to win the tournament, right? That's right. Now imagine if Watson had approached that shot with the mindset of just getting it close. He might have ended up with a much more difficult putt for par. But by visualizing success and believing in his ability, he pulled off an incredible shot that secured his victory.
It's a powerful reminder that our thoughts can have a direct impact on our performance. Belief can truly move mountains, or in this case, golf balls. But it's not always easy to stay positive and focused, especially when distractions inevitably creep in on the course. How do we deal with those mental obstacles that can sabotage our game?
That's where the concept of present moment focus comes into play. It's about training your mind to stay fully engaged in the task at hand, blocking out those distracting thoughts that could pull you off your game.
I can definitely relate to that. Sometimes it feels like my mind is a battlefield of competing thoughts, worries about my score, replays of past mistakes, even thoughts about what I'm having for dinner later.
It happens to the best of us. But the key is to develop strategies for redirecting your focus back to the present moment. One effective technique is to create a pre-shot routine that you follow consistently for every shot.
So it's about having a structured process that helps you center yourself and eliminate those mental distractions.
Exactly. Your pre-shot routine could include things like taking a few deep breaths, visualizing the shot, and feeling the grip of the club in your hands. The key is to find what works for you and stick with it.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about external distractions? Things like noisy crowds, nearby construction, or even just the beauty of the course itself. Those things can be hard to ignore.
You're absolutely right. External distractions are a part of golf, and learning to manage them is a crucial skill. One technique that can help is to focus on your breath.
So it's about using your breath as an anchor to bring your attention back to the present moment.
Precisely. When you feel your mind wandering, take a few slow, deep breaths and focus on the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. This can help to calm your nerves and recenter your attention. And here's another important point. Avoid dwelling on hazards.
Oh, those bunkers and water features can be so intimidating. It's hard not to let them creep into your thoughts. But I know what you're going to say. The more you focus on them, the more likely you are to hit into them. It's like they have a magnetic pull on your golf ball.
It's amazing how our minds can work against us in that way. But the good news is we can also train our minds to work for us. Our source material highlights a great story about Sam Snead and a young pro to illustrate this point.
I love a good golf story. Tell me more.
Snead was playing a course he was unfamiliar with, and the young pro playing with him kept pointing out all the hazards. Watch out for the trees on the left. Don't go long on this green. There's water behind it. Snead later commented that this kind of talk can actually draw you into trouble. The hazards become your focus, and your body follows suit. He said it's like the young pro is trying to hoodoo him.
It reminds me of that saying, what you resist persists.
Exactly. It's the same principle. If you're constantly thinking about what you don't want to do, you're actually increasing the likelihood of it happening.
So the key takeaway here is to stay target-focused, even on courses we know well. Don't let those hazards hijack your attention. Easier said than done, though, especially when you're standing on the tee box, staring down a narrow fairway lined with trees.
It takes practice, but it's a skill you can develop over time. And remember, everyone has areas of their game they find challenging, whether it's sand traps, a particular type of shot, or even a specific hole on the course.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well. There's this one par 3 on my home course that's just my nemesis. I can't tell you how many times I've put my tee shot in the water.
But here's the good news. When those negative thoughts creep in, you can reset your routine. Step away from the ball, take a deep breath, and start your pre-shot routine again from behind the ball. This helps you regain focus and approach the shot with a fresh perspective. It's like hitting the reset button on your mental game.
It's like giving yourself permission to start fresh, to let go of those past mistakes, and approach the shot with renewed confidence.
Exactly. And remember, what you feed attention grows. So feed your attention to the positive. Those targets fairways, greens, and ultimately that cup.
This all ties back to the concept of visualization we discussed earlier. Is there a scientific basis for this connection between picturing success and actually achieving it on the course?
Absolutely. Our source goes into detail about the science behind this phenomenon. When you visualize a shot, you're essentially creating a motor program in your brain, a blueprint for movement.
A motor program? That sounds pretty high-tech.
It's like creating a groove in your brain for a particular shot. The more clearly and confidently you can visualize that shot, the better your brain can execute the necessary movements to make it happen.
So it's not just about positive thinking. It's about literally training your brain to perform at its best.
Precisely. And here's the kicker. Anxiety and arousal can actually make those mental images fuzzy and less effective.
Ah, so that's why we tend to play worse when we're feeling stressed or pressured. Our mental clarity goes out the window and those negative thoughts start creeping in.
It all comes back to the importance of staying relaxed and confident. The more relaxed and focused you are, the clearer your visualizations will be and the better your performance will be.
This reminds me of that famous quote, "See the ball be the ball." It's about that complete immersion in the experience of the shot.
I love that. And it's so true. Visualization is all about immersing yourself in the experience of the shot, seeing it, feeling it, and ultimately believing you can make it happen.
So in a nutshell, by combining strategic course management with a powerful mental game, we can unlock a whole new level of performance on the course.
That's the goal. And it's not just about lowering your score. It's about enjoying the game more, playing with greater confidence, and realizing your full potential as a golfer.
This deep dive into the mental game has been incredible.
Yeah, it really has.
It's amazing how much more there is to golf than just, hitting the wall.
It really highlights the strategic depth
Yeah.
and the mental fortitude required to excel at this sport.
As we wrap up this episode,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that course management and mental focus are really two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
They work together to elevate your game to a whole new level.
It's not enough to just know how far you hit each club. You need to be able to assess the situation, make smart decisions, and then execute those shots with confidence.
And that's where the mental game comes in. Visualizing success, staying present focused, and managing those inevitable distractions
Yeah.
that pop up on the course.
It's like our source material said, what you feed attention grows.
Yeah.
If you're focused on hazards, you're more likely to find them.
Right.
But if you're focused on your target and visualizing that perfect shot, you're setting yourself up for success.
That's a great point. It's a powerful reminder that we have more control over our game than we often realize.
So, to our listener, I challenge you to think about a specific hole on your course that you find challenging. How can you apply the principles of course management and mental focus to approach it differently next time?
Maybe there's a water hazard you've been obsessing over, or a tricky green that always seems to get the best of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Use the techniques we've discussed today. Visualize your ideal shot. Break down the course management steps. And create a pre-shot routine that keeps you focused and confident.
And remember, every shot is a fresh start. Don't let past mistakes or future worries cloud your present moment. Stay in the game mentally and physically, and you'll be amazed at the results.
Great advice. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of golf. Until next time, keep your head down, your eyes on the target, and your mind in the game.
Happy golfing.